I must be getting good at this. Hello everyone, welcome to Nixie Bobs and welcome to a very, very strange greeting. I'm very excited because something just arrived that I didn't think we were going to get in time, but we have. I also thought it was going to come tomorrow, and it hasn't, which I'm really pleased about because I'm not going to be in my own house tomorrow. I'm going somewhere else for the weekend. But here it is. It is the special from QVC this week. It's Tarte's Shape Up Your Routine kit. And this, for anyone who doesn't know, contains the newly released, but of course the UK gets it later, Shape Tape foundation. Now it's had a little bit of disappointment in places because a lot of people like myself very, very much would have preferred the matte option. This has the hydrating option. Being one to trying things, of course I'm going to try it. My other disappointment slightly with this pack is that the lightest they did has been Fair Beige, which is the one that I have. I have Fair Beige, but I know that in the US and on Tarte.com there is a porcelain option. I would have preferred this one very much. The price of this is I think it's just under 45 quid, which is pretty good, and you get a whole heap of cool things with it. Here we go. So you also get, let me show you first, I have looked at this briefly a minute ago. You get a really, really nice bag. Now this is much bigger than the ones that we normally get from Tarte in TSVs. So it's got a lot more space, it's a lot more spacious and a lot deeper. So I can definitely get a lot in, and funnily enough, I'm actually going to take this away with me for the weekend. It's more than big enough to hold in there your snazzy new kit. Now, what do we get in this? We get this sponge. This is a brand new Beauty Blender style sponge from Tarte. Little side note, you are meant to wet these. When I use these type of sponges, I don't wet them because in my experience, they've got mildewed and mouldy, even after constant washing. So I will not be wetting mine. We have Lights, Camera, Lashes Mascara. Little side note with here is that I've got one in my makeup bag, so we're not actually going to use one included in this set because there is no sense to me opening up a whole new mascara. We have this little double duty beauty palette. Leave Your Mark palette, I believe it's called. We'll open this out in a minute. And then of course we have the Shape Tape foundation itself. Oh! And I forgot, we have Rainforest of the Sea lipstick, which I'm also very, very much excited about. So we're going to swatch all of these. I'm not going to swatch the shadow palette. Why? Because I suck at doing that. The design of this, it's so compact and it's really, really great for traveling with. It's all iridescent and nice. And you've obviously got your mirror inside, and here's all your shades. Now I am noticing immediately on mine that I have a stain on my lightest shade. This is your rose gold highlighter, and then you've got obviously all these shades. I will say to you, given what's kind of going on in my life right now, I'm really in the mood for doing a darker eye, which is what we're going to do. I do want to try out this rose gold highlighter though, which is very nice. Look at that. You know what I always love with Tarte's shadows is that they smell divine. Like, they smell like a Too Faced palette. They smell like chocolate, and I don't know why. The negative I find with Tarte shadows, they always crease on my lids. It doesn't matter what primer I use, it doesn't matter how I apply my shadows, what I do, they always go into the creases of my eye, and I don't know why. You will also be pleased to know, guys, that my black eye has relatively cleared up. I've got some yellowing still left around the eye. If you want to know why, leave me a comment and I'll explain that in a hang woman later on. Let's look at the lipstick, which is called Escape. It's like a dark pinky colour, really. It's kind of like between pink and red, I would say. It's the type of shade they'll pick because it will go on everybody's skin tone very well. We will obviously apply this at the end. So it's quite a dark pink, really. Should stand out quite well against me since I'm like such a vampire and a zombie. And then we have the all-important Shape Tape Hydrating Foundation. It has been a bit disappointing to know that they haven't even brought the matte QVC. I think it should have been an option, whether you had hydrating or matte. That would have been, my preference would be in the matte, especially when I do have a slightly oily bi type in my skin. But as I say, you can't judge a product until you try it. So like Shape Tape, we have the normal wand and the normal lid just done a little bit bigger. And the shading looks like this until we blend it in. So I'm gonna dot it in and blend it against my hand. I have again already given this a slight go and it looks a little tiny bit dark. I've had a swatch of this on my left hand for about half an hour, and it's meant to be a more hydrating foundation, but it still feels a little bit tacky, so I know I'm going to have to set this in with probably a powder. I've been trying something recently that's not rocket science, but that I just really thought might work. It goes in okay, but I can just see a bit of an orangey residue on the side, so I'm a little concerned about that. But let's get right to it and let's have a play. So, a couple of side notes I'm going to put in right now. We do not have a blush in this set, so we're going to use the Tarte blush palette that I got last year. We don't have the under eye concealer, so I'm going to use Shape Tape in Fair. And we don't have a brow product, so I'm going to use Ka-Brow. And I've actually just got shade 4 in Ka-Brow. I used to use 6, but 4 actually looks a lot better on me. You will see that there are evil things lurking all over my face. I have a big red thing here. There's one up there, these two. So really, applying this over any imperfections I've got without concealer is going to be a real good way to see how well it covers. And I don't actually know where this ugly thing above my eyebrow came from. It's just not cute. Oh, and we're going to use a primer as well. I think I'll just lap on a bit of Bare Minerals actually, because it's there. So I will use just a dash of Bare Minerals primer. I've got 1 squirt. I'm going to warm it between both hands, dot it, and just apply it. No rocket science. You can do this with brushes. You can use that unicorn tear thing that everybody seems to have. It's up to you, but I'm using this. I'm going to use, I'm going to have to use an eye primer as well. I'm going to use a bit of Stay Don't Stray. I'm going to be a bit sparing with this because this does take a little bit of time to settle on the eyes, and I don't really want to be taking forever. The other thing, guys, as well, the great thing with Tarte shadows, I should have mentioned, you can actually wet them down. So I've got just a little cup of water here. Yes, this is a Beecham's medicine cup that just splashed down my arm. It actually is used to feed my 2 poinsettias on my windowsill. I'm just going to blend that in. This is my normal. And I'm going to say, please don't be offended by my number 7 sponge. It is purely this shade because once you start applying stuff on it, you can clean it, but you'll never clean it entirely free of stain. So not to bore you with any kind of anything, I'm just going to apply Ka-Brow really quickly. My brows seem to have changed shape a little bit recently, but I am pleased with how they're looking. I've been trying to tweeze them into a much better position than they've been in. So they're looking good. Number 4, Ka-Brow. Really liking this actually. It's just slightly less dark than the one I've been using, which is number 6. That's settled on quite well. So let's go ahead and play. Whoa, I think it falls that fast. Is with my Leave Your Mark palette. Now, where am I going to start with this? This looks like so much fun. I guess I'm going to start with Grace. Most of my brushes are going to be Spectrum, guys. I've got a big set down here. Please don't ask me to give you numbers because I don't know anything about them. I just know what tips they are and how I like to use them. I'm no brainiac here, guys. And I've just got a new lamb's wool blanket on the bed. You can probably see it here. So there's a little bit of fluff on anything that touches it. I'm just going to go all out and go straight for Respect, which is the darkest shade. As I say, I'm really in the mood to do something dark and kind of grunge, I guess. That and because I'm going to a gig next week, so I'm kind of already thinking about what I'm going to be doing. As always, guys, I never have a plan. I just kind of act and do and see how it works out. Sometimes it works out great. At other times I do it and go, that was a really crap idea, Nixie. I'm shaping it, but please bear in mind that doesn't mean to say it's going to be perfect. And if I do make any residues, don't worry because I will clean that up when I do some concealer later. So I'm going to add a slight shading above. I still want to keep kind of like a faded outness going in there, but I do obviously want to do a couple of transitions, so I'm going to Speak Up, which is the second shade, and I'm just going to use a slightly fluffier brush, and I'm just going to take that up and just above that line there, just above where I've done the cat eye kind of thing. And looking at the shades, we have, to be honest, this was billed as being quite a metallic palette, but it's really not. It's actually quite a metallic. It's as being quite a matte palette. It's not. You've got 2 mattes and 5 shimmer shades in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are your only 2 mattes in the collection. And I'm actually going to dab and get some colour on this brush, but I'm going to go for, I think I want to go for Role Model. I like that shade. That's sticking out to me. You know what I find as well, if you do wet the Tarte shades, they do have a slightly better lasting game than if you don't. I'm only going to take the gold up to that middle part of my eye because I'm going to fade in with some more dark. I'm going to come back to Respect. I'm liking that. I am going to come underneath with Respect as well once we've done the rest. Let's just finish this eye really quickly. So guys, both eyes done. I've slightly not done the flick as to this eye, so I will be correcting that with Shape Tape. So let's get on to that now. So with Shape Tape, you really don't need a lot. It's such a highly pigmented concealer. So literally, I am going to do one line, and I'm going to do one line, and I'm going to leave this on for a minute while I do mascara. It's just that in my experience, when I leave this to warm up, it seems to settle into the under eye better. So Lights, Camera, Lashes mascara. We know this, we've used this, I've shown this a million times. It's a wonderful mascara. I'm not going to apply it with any primer because I'm going to show you just how good it is. See now, in one quick coat, we've got a pretty good length, and this is why I love this mascara. You know what, I've really pulled off that eye look really well. I'm quite impressed with myself. Let's sort out my under eyes. I'm not going to use the new sponge to do this with. I'm going to wait and leave that just for the foundation. And also, my number 7 sponge has this point, so I really like to be able to just pat under here. Now, in terms of correcting this, let's just get close up into this. And that's much better. Shape Tape will really erase any imperfections on that I had. Only thing I do additional is I have a little brush. I don't like to sponge it all in, and I just buff it out. Right, let's go in with the all-important Shape Tape foundation. Now, the way I would do this, if I've got a normal push top, what I tend to do is apply a blob on my hand. I'm not going to be able to do that in this instance. I'm going to take the wand and I'm going to draw a blob, and I'm pretty sure that's all I'm going to need. I'm going to take my sponge, I'm going to take the flattest side. So I applied one of that, and I've only just done it to this side. I was applying this as we went down. I don't feel like one is enough. I feel like you'd probably need a couple more. So on this side, I'm going to do 2 strokes of this. I'm liking this sponge. I'm really, really liking this sponge. I know, you guys, you know what, wetting it is just down to preference. If you don't want to wet it, you know, you don't have to listen. Now, it'd be interesting to see, I was thinking possibly the Hydrating might have a more sheerer tint to it, but you can probably see that it's not 100% covering up the blemishes I have on this side of my face. As always, I say to you guys, reserve judgment of a final coverage until it's settled into your skin, because then you can judge. You can't judge while it's just gone onto your skin and your skin hasn't soaked it in. Don't go by a first minute impression, to go by about a 10-20 minute impression. It's dabbing on really well to the point where I don't even think I'm going to have to buff this with a brush. Normally when I apply a foundation, I'll set it in like this and then go back with a brush later on. I don't even think I'm going to have to do that. It's just really soaked into my skin really well. It's quite impressive actually. And actually the shading isn't too bad. I was worried that this was going to be extremely dark and possibly I need to let it oxidize a little bit more. But I'm not seeing a huge amount of darkness anywhere, or sort of like it doesn't look like it doesn't match my skin tone, which pleases me. I'd still have preferred porcelain in saying that though. I don't know if it's because it dries really quickly or sets really quickly, but it just seems like either it's marrying well to my skin, but I just don't feel like I can see what it's doing. Like I can't quite guess. So in one coat, it's done quite a good job. I mean, it's covered this piece of red that I had here really well. To touch it, obviously, because it's the hydrating, it's meant to be that bit dewier, which is why I would have really preferred the matte. And that's the one thing that concerns me, is if this doesn't settle in. The good thing about this though, I'm sure we could probably build it up, but the fact that it's not covering complete redness does kind of deter me a little bit from it. The one thing I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to let this sit on the skin as I would with, and I have a dry patch there, by the way, in case anyone's wondering. I'm going to pop that there, and I've got a couple of other blemishes here. The same way I normally do with Shape Tape, if I'm wanting to conceal something, what I'll do is I'll dab it on, sorry, I keep coming in front there, after I've applied foundation, and just let it settle in once it warms in. Normally it covers just that little bit better. Come back to my palette. I'm going to come to the purpley plum shade, which is Respect, which I'm really liking this shade. And I'm going to make sure I join this in. You know, I always like to say to you guys, to sort of, you know, I like my makeup just looking that little bit more natural, but even I like to go to the dark side sometimes. It's mainly when I go to gigs, because obviously I like a lot of alternative stuff. When I go to a gig, I normally do go all out, and you've probably seen some of the photos and the videos from that, but I just think to myself, if I'm going to a gig, I'm going somewhere special, so I do like to kind of push the look a little bit more. Just going to clean up here, just make sure I've got no powder anywhere I don't want it. See, now we've had that settle on, it's dabbing in a lot more, and the redness I had is covering. Always remember to go under your chin line, guys, you don't want a line. So one of my techniques as well, if I do this, is I'll push the sponge right in and then do really fast little pushes, if that makes sense. So here again, I'll show you. I'll go hold and then dab. And we've got quite a little bit more coverage on that now. I'm relatively impressed by the foundation and the way that it looks on the skin, because it doesn't look heavy, it doesn't feel heavy, and it doesn't look unnatural, which is what I was looking for. I don't like to feel like I'm wearing foundation. Like, I've got some of the heaviest foundations on the market, Becca being one of them, with the Ultimate Complexion Creme, but it's in the way you apply it. If you apply it really heavy, it's going to feel really heavy, but you can make them feel a lot less heavy if you apply it in a way that isn't like caked, I guess. I do like it. My only thing, and this is where you can compare it with the matte, is that it's 5 minutes since I applied it and my hands are still sticking to my skin, which means it's not completely set on, so I'm going to have to apply something over it. So my general one that I go to, because I'm kind of taking a bit of a break from Mineral Veil, and I've been actually playing with my Laura Geller Balance and Glow. So this doesn't work for me as a foundation, but as like a setting powder or as something to help my skin suck up a product like this. This is doing a great job. Not giving me a whole great deal of coverage, so don't worry about saying, oh, you're adding to it, so now you're going to be able to tell. This is a really sheer product, which, as I say, it does not work for me personally as a foundation. That has worked a lot better now. Much better on the face. Who wants to play with a lipstick? It's going to sound silly, but I actually really like, if you look at the curved nib of that lipstick, it's really getting on my lips well. Even coming to here, I've made no mistakes with that whatsoever. The colour is really flattering, and as I say, this is the sort of tone that everyone can wear. That's an old-fashioned thing, guys. Make sure you get nothing on your teeth. It's a really nice shade, and it's really working well with what I've got on. It's not too much. The Rainforest lipsticks are meant to be really hydrating, which I need, because if you were looking at my lips before I applied this, you will know that they are dry as hell. Not so much the top, the bottom one is a problem. When I was cleaning my face earlier, literally I took my Lizzo cloth across it and I had blood. So that's how dry they are. It's not good at the minute for me with this. See, now with this palette, I'm going to show you this one. I actually tend to sometimes go all the way down so that you get each colour. Spectrum highlighter brush. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Now, I'm going to take a line of this on my highlighter brush. Really lovely. Can you see the shine I've got there? It's got a slight pink tinge, so I guess if you wanted to use this as a blush you could, but I'm super impressed with that. I'm a lot more impressed with this than I was the unicorn highlighter actually. Lovely. Now I know you can apply this on the nose, you can apply this on the cupid's bow. I don't like the look of it there, but more to the point, I was raised in a generation where you shouldn't have a shiny nose, so to apply it there for me would be all wrong. Now judging by the first impression, and you guys know I will come to you with a final decision video on this in a week's time, but the first impression is that I really do like the foundation. It's settled really nicely in. The only downside I would say is that it's not covered everything as well as I would like, and I do need to go away and just wear this for 10 minutes and then come back and see how it is. So let's go downstairs, do a few things, and then come back in 10 minutes and I'll tell you how I feel. Okay guys, so it's been about 10 minutes I guess since I last came on. What I did was I actually went outside in the daylight, because when I went downstairs and I looked in a bright, I mean my window's quite bright, but when I looked downstairs in a different window, it looked too dark on me and I was getting quite concerned. Out in the light, it seems to blend okay, but I will be honest, if I was in a Tarte store, if I could get to a Tarte store in the UK, I would not choose this shade. I would choose Porcelain, because that's the colour I'd feel comfortable in. I feel okay in this. I feel like I need to wear it for a few days and see how I really feel about the shading. I am a bit disappointed that QVC didn't bring Porcelain, because if they had, I would have ripped that out of their hands. Fair Beige was the closest I could get. It's okay on my skin. It looks fine. Possibly if I was that worried about it, I could use my Stargazer whiteout like costume stuff and just make it a little bit paler. But on the whole, I really like the look of the foundation. I just wish we'd had the choice of matte. As it's settled in, even with the help of Laura Geller, it has settled in and felt a little bit more matte. And I mean, my skin isn't tacky anymore. That probably also comes from it just drying into the skin naturally anyway. This was the first impression. I do like the look of it. I love the look of the shadows. As usual with Tarte shadows, they're greatly pigmented. They look gorgeous. The lipstick feels so comfortable on my lips. Really nice. I know it's not obviously the most matte lipstick going, but if it's comfortable and it's going to help hydrate my lips, then I'm all for it. I've often wondered about getting the set of these from QVC anyway, because obviously I have the lip balm sets, and this one is just literally on my desk all the time, just so you know. I've got a whole drawer of them in this set here. Mascara I love. I can never say no to Lights Camera Lashes mascara, but I'm really interested to see how well this foundation lasts. So this was the first impression. I'm going to see how I get on without this. I'm going to wear this foundation all week. It is going to be the only one I take when I go away this weekend, and next week, probably going into the Easter weekend if I can, I will try and give you an update and tell you how I feel, if I'm going to keep it, if I'm going to send it back, and how well it lasts. Because obviously, as you guys know, with my skin, foundations tend to be a bit fussy. It tends to be hard for me to find a foundation that works. My three core ones at the minute are Urban Decay's All Nighter, Bare Minerals is Bare Pro, that one, I couldn't remember, and Becca's Ultimate Complexion Creme. They are my core three foundations that I have in my bag that work and always stay well on my skin. I'm also going to wear this when I go to my gig next week. It's not the most jumpy of gigs, and obviously with my ankle I still can't do much jumping anyway, so that's out of the equation. I'm sitting down for it in a disabled area anyway. That's where they're putting me, by a bar as well, so I can have access to as much cola as I want all night. Woohoo! Let me know what you thought of this video. If there's anything you would like me to try with that palette, because I'll be willing to try it. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know how you get on with this foundation, and I'll give you an update in a few days. Thanks everyone, see you again.